So what we're going to be talking about today really is exactly how we had 10X'd our business. The main thing that I want you to be able to get out of it is different ideas of what our company has used to be able to win more contracts, and not only win more contracts, but be able to put in more bids inside of the system. One thing that I say a lot on the videos that I do create is there is a direct correlation between the amount of bids that you put into the system and the amount of awards that you're going to win. So if you're consistently putting in bids and you're disciplined about doing that week in and week out, it will eventually lead to more awards. So the one thing that I want to make sure that everyone here is doing is really thinking about exactly how many bids am I wanting to put inside of the system. So whether that's 5 per week, 10 per week, whatever it might be, that really should be your number one aim. Figuring out exactly how many bids you want to be able to put inside of the system. So that's number one. Number two also is whatever that number is, reflect on how many bids that you have put in, right? So if I say that I want to put in 5 bids per week, and I'm trying to do that each and every week, maybe look back in 2-3 weeks and be like, did I actually hit that number? So whether you're using an Excel spreadsheet or a software like I'm going to go over today, really try to hold yourself accountable to make sure that you're putting in the right amount of bids inside of the system. When we first started out, I remember doing this and being at my desk and putting in only 5 per week. So 5 is what we started out with. 5 was what we did, or excuse me, I did every single week. And then as I was doing that, I didn't win an award for, it was 6 weeks. So 6 weeks of me doing that consistently. So 6 weeks, me not winning an award, and then I won my first award. When we won our first award, then we figured out exactly what we needed to do at that point. But once we started to just focus on 5, we were hitting, or I was hitting that consistently. Then I turned that number from 5 into 10, from 10 to 15, and then that's how we continued to scale. And before you know it, you're winning a lot more awards than you ever thought that you were going to win. Now, the one thing, and I'm going to actually share my screen now, is I'm going to show you our tool, GovScraper, the tool that we use to 10X our business in 18 months, and exactly how our story behind all of that. But as you all know, what we typically do at the moment right now is we go inside of DIBBS. So for those that are already doing this, you would go into the DIBBS website. And most of the time, what people will do is they'll come in here, they'll go up to the top to where it says RFQs, and you should be able to see my screen now. You'll go to RFQs, and then you'll type in your federal supply codes right here. So if I go to search categories, I'll put federal supply class, sorry. And then I'm gonna type in the number, so I'll put that, we'll just put different ones. And then you'll choose set-asides. So let's just say that these are the set-asides I'm choosing. And then I'll press search. So what this system is doing inside of DIBBS, it's showing me that I have 482 requests for quotes that I could potentially bid on if I can find the right type of supplier. So if I go over to the NSN, and I click on that, I'll get information about this contract. Click on the solicitation, PDF comes up, and then I go through the request for quote. Now, for the ones of you that are on the call and you're already doing government contracts, question I have for you is exactly how are you keeping track of the bids that you're putting on? The majority of people that I talk to, what they're doing is they have an Excel spreadsheet, and then you're taking solicitation after solicitation after solicitation, and you're just putting in all of that information. So if I go into the request for quote right here and I scroll down, I can get information about this contract. Typically what you'll do is to go in here, you'll scroll down and you'll go to the procurement history. So this is typically where people go first, gives us information about the contract. So we take this information, we put it on our Excel spreadsheet, we scroll further down, we'll see the contract line item number, we'll see that there's 44 pieces right here. Government wants this in 5 days, so we would put this in our Excel spreadsheet. Who's paying for the delivery? Is it you or is it the government? Where the inspection point is. So this is actually going to be an inspection at our location, and then all of the packaging details. So we have all of this information and we're putting it on an Excel spreadsheet. Now, we were doing this for a very long time, and the process of what we were doing was consistently taking us 2-3 hours to get done. So if we're doing, say, each one of these takes about maybe 7-8 minutes to be able to put from this PDF into an Excel spreadsheet, that's a lot of just data transferring that you're doing before you can even send out a quote, before you can even make a call. And if it's taking 7-8 minutes per time and you're doing, say, 20 per day, that's close to what, 2.5-3 hours of your time just with the data that you're pulling from it, right? So we were doing this for a long time. The other technique that we use is we would print out the first page and then we would manually write the information on it. So whatever the process that you're using right now, I think we can all agree that it does take a long time with how we're going about doing it. So as we were doing this for so long, because it was taking us many hours per day to do this, it was taking us away from reaching out to our vendors. And when you first start out, you don't have any relationships. Maybe you know a person who knows a person in an industry to get a quote, but most of us, we have no clue exactly who to reach out to. So now, not only are you data transferring, now you have to do the research, going into Google, finding different vendors to make that part and so forth. But imagine if you can focus more on just the vendor research and you can eliminate all of the research that you do with PDF. So what we ended up doing is we ended up creating a software back in January of 2024, where our software pulls all of the data from all of the RFQs. So everything that you would typically take from the PDF and put onto your Excel spreadsheet, we created a program that automatically does that for you. So instead of you going into DIBBS, so instead of you going here to the RFQs and then typing in your FSC, so whatever that FSC is, right? And then instead of you choosing the set-asides, so let me just choose these different set-asides, and doing the searching, then from there, pulling all of the PDFs. Imagine a system to do that all for you. So based upon your customized FSCs, your customized set-asides, the system will actually download all of the RFQs and extract the information for you. So we started doing that, took a little bit of time, and when we got to where we thought it would actually be good, we created GovScraper. And what GovScraper does is it is a tool that simplifies the RFQ process, and I'm gonna show you our demo version. And based upon the FSCs that I have chose for the system and the set-asides that I have selected, the system will go in each and every night and download all of those solicitations. Once it's downloaded it extracts all of the information for me. So I can go over to here where it says list of contracts. I'll click on list of contracts. And as you'll see here, it'll show the entire list of all of the request for quotes that I had requested the system to pull out. Each one of these rows is a new RFQ. So if I look at this one right here, so this contract number right there, so click on that, pulls it up. It gives me all of the information that I would normally pull out. So let me do this. And I think what would be really good is for me to show you a comparison of the two, right? So I'm gonna take this RFQ number, I'm gonna go back into DIBBS and I'm gonna try to find it right here. So I'm gonna paste it in here, go to solicitation, and then I'm gonna search, and you'll see it right here. So this one that was on the 7th, right? Small business contract, click on it right there. Here's the solicitation. So choice is, I can go through 26 pages to pull all that information up, or I can go into here and all that information is there for me. So everything from the contract number, as you see there, the PR number, the date it was issued, which was today, the NSN number, the part number. There are several part numbers. So here's one part number, and then here's the other part number. So you have both of them. It'll show you the day the RFQ is due, who's paying for the shipping. So the government's paying for the shipping there. And I'll talk about this anticipated award amount in just a bit. I see who the manufacturer is. So the manufacturer is the same manufacturer. They just have the part under two different part numbers. Keep scrolling down. I have my procurement history, which is all right here. So the people that have won it before, the quantity, the unit price, and the day that they won it, as well as the contract line item. So in this case, the government is wanting 23 EA, and they want it in 168 days, and the packaging requirements, mill standard 2073. So instead of me, again, going through this and download or pulling all that information and putting it on an Excel spreadsheet, the system does that all automatically for me. All right. Now, one of the things that once we had built this, what we decided to do is, okay, how could we advance it? What are the other things as a contractor? What are the things that I would like to have? So we were thinking about different things that we wish that they would have. And one of the pain points that we experienced is we would transfer all that information over to an Excel spreadsheet. And then we would come to find out that the government's only wanting 2 pieces, and each one of those pieces is an estimated $10 a piece. So that means the award amount is about what, 20 bucks, 25 bucks if I'm lucky. Now, would that actually be worth your time if a contract was worth only $25? After you pay everyone else, you're left with absolute pennies, not much at all. So what we came up with is a way to anticipate what we believe the award amount to be. So in this case, we have the anticipated award amount here for $34,047.59. So the reason why we have this here is now we can make a more informed decision of, do we want to take the time to bid on this one or not, right? If this number right here, instead of $34,000 said $200, it's something that I would probably just pass by and move on to the next. So just think about the amount of time that you can save with a tool like this. And because we had created this tool and we launched it internally about June, July of 2024, we then were able to bid more, because the 2-3 hours that we were spending on just the data transfer to the Excel spreadsheet was eliminated. Now what we can do is reach out to vendors and use those 2-3 hours to really build those relationships. And what we come to find is that the hardest part of government contracting is the relationships, right? You get a bunch of people that never respond to your emails. You get a bunch of people that tell you no bids, right? There's a lot, it's really hard. And the reason why that is these manufacturers are getting about 20, 30 quotes for the same part. So how are you going to separate yourself from everyone else, right? If you're just sending out a quote, you're not there and they don't know who you are, they're not going to respond to you. Just think about your emails, the emails that you send out, not the emails that you send out, but the emails that you're looking at. How many times do you get people that are trying to sell you something and you just delete the email? You never respond. And then they follow up and say, hey, did you get my previous email? And you still delete it, right? You're just hoping that they go away. How are you any different? So building those relationships, you can get the time back with a tool like this. Now, not only will GovScraper do that, and it allowed us to bid more often, but it also allowed us to track what we were doing with our manufacturers. So if we were ever to send out a quote and probably have an Excel spreadsheet out there that's color-coded based upon exactly did you send out an email or did you not, imagine having a tool that all that information can be locked in inside of that tool. So we have this, what we call a vendor reference table. So this vendor reference table, you can add in as many rows as you want for companies that you want to send it out to. So if I want to send out a quote to XYZ company, you can put it in there. Are they a distributor, let's just say, or a manufacturer? What is the part number? So let's just say this is the part number. I can just copy the number here, paste it in here. And then let's just say it was for 1,000 pieces. So now I'm saving it inside of the system that I am going to send out an email to XYZ company. So now when XYZ company responds to me, I have it right here, right? This is the company I sent it out to, ABC company I sent it out to as well too. When they give me a price back, press this, the edit button, and then I put what the lead time is as well as the price. So let's just have some fun and let's just say it's 240, it's right there on the bottom right there, 197 per piece. And then save right there. Let me put it right here. Let's just say this was 20 weeks also, but the price here was 19.57, right? So I have this right here. But now that I have both of my quotes from my vendors, well, what I want to do then is I want to make sure that I get a price that could potentially be competitive, right? Because the bid that I put in, I have to have a competitive price. But not only should my price be competitive, I need to make money off of this contract. So another thing that we added to this tool, and I haven't even gone over the status bar that's up here though, but if I'm ready to bid on a contract because my vendors have given me a price, we have this piece where if I click on ready to bid up here, the screen shifts to the left. And now on the right-hand side, I have a little cheat sheet that I can work with to determine exactly what I want my price to be. So instead of us using a big old calculator, which I'm sure many of you have, right? That's on your desk. I can just put in the information from the contract and figure out what my bid price should be. So in this case, I'm going to write down what the quantity is up here. So I'm going to put 1,000 pieces. The cost from my vendor, well, I have one vendor that's giving me at $19.75 a piece and then another one at $19.50. So obviously I should be using the lesser of the two. So I'm going to put $19.50. What the system is going to do, and this is a dream, I wish that would happen, but let's do 200 pieces. No, let's do 50 pieces. Okay, cool. So let's just say theoretically it's 50 pieces at $19.50 a piece. It's going to tell you exactly what your vendor cost is going to be. Then what you also want to do is incorporate any other cost associated with you getting the parts. So if there's any shipping that is going to cost you any money, maybe you're estimating shipping, so let me estimate that's going to be $250 to ship me the parts. If there's packaging cost, whatever that cost might be, let's just say it's $300. And then maybe there's any miscellaneous costs. So maybe this company charges $150 for certifications to make sure that the part is the part that they say it is, right? What the system is going to do is based upon all of that, it's going to show you what your total cost is going to be. So right here, the total cost for this, to me, when the dust settles, is $98,200. But what matters more to me is, well, what is my break-even price? So taking what the total cost is for me, dividing it by the amount of pieces, it's going to give me what is my break-even price per piece. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that my bid price is going to be above my break-even. So now in this section, I can just play around with it. So here I'm going to say, let's just say if I were to do 2011, and 50 cents. Well, if I were to put in this as the bid, it's going to tell me what my award amount is, but it's also going to show me what my profit is going to be. So on this, I would make $2,375 at a margin of 2.3%, right? I want a little bit higher, right? So what I can do then is I can just start playing around with these numbers. So I'm going to do 2050, 25 cents. All right, that's a little better. Let's do 294.54. But whatever that's going to be, as you play around with this, all of these numbers will change. So I know some of you are probably focused more on a margin. So you're trying to hit it maybe within the 10 to 15% margin and you want nothing less and you'll bid on nothing more, then that's great. The system is going to do that. Some of you, and the way that we had started off is we looked at each RFQ individually and said, hey, the amount of money that we would make on this, not even looking at the margin, would this be worth our time to do all, be the project manager of this contract, right? In this case, even though it's a 6.23% margin, profit of $6,500, this is something that I would like. So if I were to do this with the system, then I can press save. By pressing in save, what we have here is we have a bid price that locks in what we have. If I want to make any changes quickly, I can just do this and make the change. So let's just say I actually want to do 90.54. I can press save. If I want to put down the delivery days, so let's just say we're going to say 150 days, save it right there. I could do it that way. Or if I want to go back in and analyze it a little bit deeper, I could just press that edit bid, price sheet, and then it'll show this again with the new reflective price here. Right? And this is always good too, because sometimes you'll have to go back to the vendor and the vendor's like, oh, just kidding. It's actually not 1950 piece. It's actually going to be $2,011.15. Well, if that's the case, everything else held equal, your profit's going to go down. So will your margin. So it's a great tool that really does make sure that everything is formatted properly. So the way that we go about doing this is our team will go into the system per day based upon the FSCs and the set-asides that we as an organization focus on. Everyone's delegated to certain FSCs. We try to only focus on maybe 3 to 4 per person. If you're at the beginning and you're focusing on 10 to 12, or you're just trying to do every FSC you possibly can, you're never going to build the relationships that you need to be successful in this industry. So each person on our team will focus on just a few different FSCs, and they go into the system and do just that. So as they're going in here, they're sending out their emails by using this vendor reference table. As people respond back to them, they're changing in the price. When they're ready to bid, then they click on ready to bid, and then they go to the edit price sheet. But the last thing that our team does is when the day is done, the last 30 minutes of the day, what we'll do is we'll come back to the list of contracts that we have. And I did get a little ahead of myself, but you see how the contract status that we logged in says pricing in ready to bid? What our team does is as we progress through these contracts, we change the status to reflect what we're currently doing at that moment. Because we're ready to bid on this contract, we go up to the filters up here, and you can do a lot of different filters, but we look at this contract status, we go to the drop down, and we look at pricing in ready to bid. So instead of us doing the bidding each and every time that we get a response back from a vendor, we do it in a chunk at the end of the day. So now what we do is we have pricing in ready to bid for 2 different contracts. So I'm going to bring this over to the side. Let me bring this over. And then I'm going to have DIBBS on one side. So let me do this. DIBBS on one side. We have GovScraper on the other side. And all we're going to do is once we log in, and then I'm going to do the first one. Do the first one. Different ways that I can go about doing this. But I'm going to take the PR number. So copy the PR number, paste the PR number here, find that one. Great, it's right here. I'm going to click on quote. And now, what do I have? I have all the information, right? So I didn't have to redo this. My bid price is right here. So I'm going to put 64.17, and my delivery days I put is 200. Great. I can do this. I can put all the other information in. So Los Angeles is where this is going to be. California. Where's the inspection going to take place? It's going to be at our location. All right. Keep going down. Go here. Just filling it out real quick. Who's the dealer? So they're asking me exactly who that's going to be. So we'll just say it's, I don't know, ABC12. No, this, good, got all that. Answer all my questions I need. And then I'm just going to submit it. Once I submit it and everything is done, obviously I'm not going to submit it now because this is just a demo. But once that is done and I get the confirmation, going back to GovScraper for a second, I then will change the status to bid complete. So now the system, GovScraper, keeps track that, oh, okay, this solicitation that you were ready to bid on has now been changed to bid completed. So as you can see right here, bid completed. Great, go to the next one and we do it. Saves you a ton of time in doing chunks as opposed to trying to do all the different things throughout the day. And like I said, we try to get in about 50 bids per week based upon a system like this because we're not spending so many hours on the research time. Another thing that we do, and because we're a team, but whether we're a team or you're just, doing this on your own, and we have been there before, is we always want to make sure we focus on our KPIs. So at the beginning of this call, what I had talked about is maybe your goal is 5 per week. And if that's what your goal is, just 5 per week, totally fine, whatever it is. But the question is, how often are you looking back to make sure that you did actually hit 5? Did you hit 4, 3, 2, 6, 10, whatever? So typically what we would do then is, and we wouldn't do this often, we would actually read row by row of all of the colors that are, I don't know, I think it was green is the color that we used. But instead of us doing it that way, imagine you had a tool like GovScraper that actually does that for you. So I want to point you over to this where it says post-bid statistics. These post-bid statistics are based upon the status of where you are with that specific contract. So because the last solicitation we looked at, we went from ready to bid completed, the system knows that you completed the bid. So I can see exactly by hovering over this, how many bids that we have put in, how many traced requests we got from the government, and how many contracts that we have won. If I want to do it based upon a certain time frame, I just go over here to filters. I can look at what I did previous week. So previous week 2, traceability 2. I can look at what we're doing currently, or I can even look at previous month, current month, or custom dates, however you want to go about doing it. But I can't stress enough how important it is to evaluate to see if you're actually hitting the goal that you intend to hit. The other thing about GovScraper is the FSCs that you're focused on, right? So because you're focused on FSCs, how often do we go back and think, hey, did we get enough opportunities for those FSCs? Or are we just spinning our wheels for maybe 2, 3, 4 requests for quotes from the government per month? So what we do is we keep track of over the last 30 days, how many FSCs have been put into your system. So this allows you to analyze, hey, am I really choosing the correct FSCs, or should I be pulling some out and putting some back in? So right here, I see for 2640, we had 20. 4820, we've had over 180 over the last 30 days, right? 5305, that many, and so forth. So this is a great way to say, okay, hey, look, if I'm only going to focus on X amount of FSCs, I want to make sure that I'm getting enough opportunities for it. So if you look back in over a month and you say, you know, on the first of the month, and you think 3 of these FSCs are good, but these other 2, I'm only getting 3 or 4, then it probably is not worth your time to be focused on those. So inside of the system, you can eliminate those FSCs and add in additional FSCs as you choose. That's the beauty of the system. So how do you go about doing that? So if I go over here to the right-hand side and I click on menu, I have all of these different options. But the option that I want to show you is this FSC cage code list. So when you do sign up for this, you do get a 7-day free trial, and there's a bit of a 7-question quiz that you're going to be asked. And we're going to ask you questions such as, what FSCs are you focused on? What are the set-asides? So we know exactly what information to pull. But if you ever want to change it as you move forward, you can always come into here and you'll see all of the list of FSCs that your system is pulling and what set-asides those attach to. So if we're looking at these valves, so the 4820, so the 4820s inside of this demo system is only pulling small business. It's not pulling HubZone, SDVOSB, women-owned, or anything like that. This 2641 is pulling both the HubZone as well as the small business. So it's a great tool that you can use to always make sure you're staying on top of everything that you need to do. If you need to import FSCs, we can do that for you as well. We're very hands-on about assisting you. The other cool thing that I want to mention is this. So we give you the ability that you can have cages that are pulled for the system. So instead of you going into DIBBS, so I'll go into DIBBS again, we'll just do DIBBS. And instead of you going to the RFQs, going to the select categories and clicking on approved cages, and then just typing in the name of the company right here, or the cage of the company and pressing search, like this one right here. I'm sure you've all seen this. Instead of saying 92, what the system's going to do is, based upon the FSCs that you put inside of the system, it's going to automatically pull regardless of what the FSC is. So the value here is, as you continue to work to build relationships, eventually you're going to get really good relationships. And as you get those really good relationships, you want to make sure that you start getting quotes from those people for everything that they do. And if by chance they happen to be on the approved sourcing list, always add their cage code here, so nothing ever slips through the cracks. All right. Okay. So one thing that I want to do is I do want to open it up for questions.
Hey, Jason, how are you doing?
I'm good, Val.
Yeah, this is Valentine, and thank you for this amazing walkthrough. So I have a quick question. When dealing with the vendor or maybe approved source, so when requesting quote from them, like for example, let me just take for my case, I had to reach out to a vendor who gave me a quote that was more than what the previous company had supplied.
Right.
So how do you handle that type of situation? Because they give you something which is outrageous, I mean, that discourages you just look like this is discouraging, but how do you uh, try to
deal with that,
yeah.
right? Okay. So if I understand your question correctly, you're saying that if I'm going to a vendor and the price that they give me is $20, but the last time the price was awarded was $10, well, what's the point, right? Like, is this the right vendor to be going? The first thing that I want to do say is that there are tons of vendors that are out there, right? So just because one vendor is giving you that price doesn't mean that they're the best one, right? So there's always another one. It's like if you're going to go surfing, you might miss one wave, but there's a wave right behind that wave, right? So you can always just reach out to other manufacturers or other vendors to get a better price, potentially, if that's what you want to do. So that's number one. The second thing that I want to bring up is as you're looking at the contracts and as you go through this, when you're looking at the procurement history, what I come to find is that a lot of people focus so heavily on that procurement history and think I have to beat the price from the previous history. But, and I mentioned this on many of the videos that I put together, is that this procurement history that you have right here is just telling you a story to give you a baseline of what to do. You can interpret the story however you see fit. If you see this as, hey, look, I got to beat this price because that's the last price and that's what you want to do, that could potentially be a challenge, right? But there's a lot of things that we don't know. So if this is like in our case, we're a set aside, we're a service disabled veteran-owned small business. If this contract is a service disabled veteran-owned business contract, and this company that won it is a women-owned small business, well, just because she had that price doesn't mean that I have to match it because she can't compete on this, or potentially she can't compete on this one, right? Or if this was a women-owned small business and our company was a women-owned small business and the previous one was a small business, it's still good to put in a bid regardless of what you get from the vendor. So that's the second thing. The third thing that I wanted to bring up in this case is, as a distributor, I would recommend to all of you, try to get rid of the distributor as much as possible, right? So anytime that you're sending out your quotes to different companies, yes, you might have to start off with working with distributors, but the ultimate goal should be trying to get relationships with manufacturers. Because think about it this way, what ends up happening is you have the manufacturer's price, they're gonna get it to the distributor, that distributor wants to make money, so they're gonna put their margin on top of it and then give you the item. So you're then gonna put your price on top of that. So you have manufacturer cost, distributor cost, plus your cost. That really is gonna blow you out of the water. The answer to your question is a long-winded way of whatever price you get from the vendor, try to get a different price. And if the vendor is a distributor, try to work with a manufacturer. Figure out how to build those relationships. Okay. Other question that I do see in the chat right here is, it says, is the effect of the government shutdown affecting everyone doing government contracts? So I'll only talk on my experience on the DLA side, because that's what we heavily focus on. I have seen a slowdown in the amount of awards that are being put out there. So there has been a reduction in the amount of awards. Seeing that the RFQs, because we pull so many RFQs, we actually have good data on this. They're pretty flat. It's pretty much the same. There hasn't been a decline in the amount of RFQs that are being put out there inside of the DIBBS system. And one of the lucky things about this as well too is any invoice that you have sent out to the government, they are paying those invoices as they normally would. So that's a big relief as well too. So invoices are being paid. The only thing that we're not seeing is awards coming through as often. All right. Now, one other thing that I want to mention, because I know we have a good group of people on this call, and again, I do want to thank you for jumping on this call to go over this. But I know that there's a mixed group here, mixed in the terms of we have some people that have been doing this for 2+ years, other people that are just starting out, still waiting for their postcard. So wherever you are in the spectrum of government contracting in your journey, one of the tools that we have inside of GovScraper is this community area. So if you were to become a GovScraper member and you go to the community, what it's going to bring up to you is, think of it as Reddit for government contracting. So what we're trying to do is build a community within the GovScraper members to answer any questions. And really, I'm sure you've heard the statement before, the wisdom is in the room. So the whole premise here is that if there is a question that you have, you want to look at the different categories to see if that question has already been asked. So if I go to vendor sourcing, here's a list of questions, and you can click on that question and see exactly what the answer is. So like this one says, what should I do if there's no drawing or technical data available for the part? Then the answer is given to you. If technical data is not immediately available on the RFQ and you're JCP certified, you can request access by, and we're giving you the information. So the reason why this question and answer is here is because no one gives you that information. No one tells you, oh, you can actually just do it this way. It's better off to do it. right? So the community aspect that we have built up, we're getting a lot more people to use it, but we're really trying to make sure that we build relationships with people within the community and also get answers to questions that you may have. So you go and look at all these questions, and if you don't find an answer to a question, or maybe you don't even see the question, you can always click on new topic and you can create your own question. And then everyone that's a member of GovScraper then will have the ability to answer this. But we're really quick on being able to respond, so that's a way that we assist. The other thing that I wanted to bring up to this is a category called member-only Zoom calls. So I know we're doing this one for free. Just wanted to show you exactly what the tool has and answer any questions that you might have. But as a GovScraper member, we do have our live calls. So next Friday, we have what we call a live Q&A. So all it is at 10 o'clock Pacific time on Friday. It happens 2 times per month. People jump on a call, and anyone that's a member has any question related to government contracting, we sit there for an hour and answer those questions. There's no set agenda because the questions end up taking us to where we want to go with the conversation. So it's a great tool, not only from being able to pull the data and keeping track of where you are, but from a community aspect and learning. And as I'm sure most of you are our subscribers on our YouTube channel and you're there to learn about government contracting, think of this as an additional layer of that learning that's there. So I'm going to wrap up for today. I just want to make sure, I answer any questions. So if there's anyone that has any questions, I'll be here. I can answer those, or you can just cut me off and then we can answer that question. But really what I wanted to show you is give you a glimpse into exactly how we really did 10X our business. We went in Q1 of 2024 from 200,000 in awards to Q1 of 2025 that hit 2 million, right? So a full 10X on that. And the reason why is because we were bidding more often. So as we were bidding more often, that automatically transferred over to winning more awards. So if you're only focused on, bidding 1 or 2 times per week, it's never going to get you to the level of where you want to go. So find a way in which you can be more efficient, which leads to you to being more impactful. So the way that we did about it is became more efficient with the tool like you see on your screen, which is GovScraper. Gives you the ability to minimize the research time to maximize that time for your vendors. So if you are someone that is wanting to sign up for GovScraper, and again, everyone gets a 7-day trial. So I'm going to log out for a second right there. All you would have to do is go to govscraper.com. So govscraper.com, and you land on this page. Up in the top right-hand corner, it's going to bring you to the free trial. So if I click on free trial right there, it's going to ask me a few different questions, and we need to have the answers to these questions to be able to make sure that the system is pulling the data that you need. So what we would do is we would click on Start Now, and it's going to say what FSC codes or types of parts would you like to find. So I can just type in those. So I'm going to type in that, just typing in that code. It doesn't matter what it is, right? So whatever it is. Okay, so I can put in as many as I want, and then I would press Next. Then it's going to ask you, okay, well, what categories would you like to pull from? So if you do, and I didn't mention this on the call, but I'll mention it now. If you have the ability to get certified in a set-aside, take the time to go through the SBA and get certified. Because what you want to be able to do is limit the amount of people that are bidding on the same contract as you. Less competition actually is in your favor. So if you are a woman, then you should be signing up for becoming a woman-owned small business. If you live in a hub zone or something along those lines, sign up for the hub zone certification. It's going to help you. But let's just say theoretically we're talking about us. So I'm going to click on small business because that's what we are, as well as SDVOSB. There's no point in the system pulling hub zones, women-owned small business for me. So I only want those 2. I click on next step, and then I type in my email. So we'll just say Yahoo. Let's just say testemail@gmail.com. Press next. Now what the system is going to do is it's going to look inside of DIBBS and see exactly how many RFQs match my criteria. So what it's telling me here is it says that you have 31 total opportunities that match your criteria over the last 7 days. So for the set-asides of the small business and the SDVOSB. So if I click on gain access, it's just going to ask you for your information. Then it's going to ask you for your choice of which membership you want. We have 2 different memberships. The one that we have gone over is the Pro version, and that Pro version version is $100 per month. $100 per month. Again, you get a 7-day free trial before that $100 is taken out, and you can cancel at any time. If you do sign up for it, what I do is anyone that becomes a member, I get a notification that you have signed up. I then send you out an email saying, hey, let's go over it together. So what we do then is a demo where you and I jump on a Zoom call just like this, and we go over the GovScraper tool, but you're the one behind the wheel. So you learn best by doing it yourself. So I will teach you exactly how to use the tool, exactly how we use it to be able to put in 50 bids per week. Okay? All right. So with that, if there are any questions, please ask those questions. And if not, I do want to thank you. I know that you are, because you got this, you are subscribed to our channel. We do have a Facebook group as well too, the YouTube channel, and we're on all different platforms. So search for us, follow along, because we do give different content on different social media platforms. And with that, I'll let you all go, but I'll be here if you have any questions. Thank you all.
Hey, Tristan, how are you? I have a question.
Yes, Nini.
I'm coming off of the service side. I'm coming off of doing a BPA, and I was always like, I would see your videos, and I knew that I wanted to get into DLA because, of course, services can be a little bit stressful, and I wanted a little bit of a difference of pace, and I wondered whether or not would you advise to be able to focus, because where I am on the East Coast, I'm about 20 minutes away from DLA troop support. Okay. So as I transition, I thought to myself, is there something that I can do to be able to have like to build a direct relationship with a specific DLA? Because of course there are many subsections, but starting off, of course, I'm a woman-owned business, and I'm also SDVOSD and EDWOSB, and I know I can use those set asides, but
absolutely.
But what I've learned, Tristan, is that relationships. I built a BPA from like 88 grand to up to 4.5, but that was based on delivering. I had to deliver. So now that I've transitioned and I'm starting something brand new, and I'm not carrying in any of that past performance, and it really doesn't matter in DLA, because it's really about, can you get the product to us, what we want when we ask for it?
Correct.
What would be the best step? Because I'm not sure what I want to do with as far as the products, and there's many, and I know I'll do my research, but do you think it's best to focus on a specific DLA subset, or just start winning and then focus?
Great question. I mean, the relationships that you build with the different groups and whatnot doesn't have any impact on you winning more contracts.
Okay.
Right? So like me being in Los Angeles and you being on the East Coast, right? Even though you're 20 minutes away, if my price is better and my lead time is better, I'm going to beat you, right?
Right.
So the real thing about it is, I wouldn't necessarily focus so much on exactly the areas. I think that's just pigeonholing yourself. It really comes down to, what are the FSCs that you want to focus on, right? So whatever those FSCs are, I'd focus on 3, maybe 4 max. And I really stress that for everyone. Start there and focus on your past experience and contacts that you've had. Maybe you know someone who knows someone that was in the medical supply industry. Great, perfect. That's a great way to start. But find 3 or 4, and then after a month, reevaluate. Did these match what I wanted? Did I build the relationships that I want? But there is no better FSC. It's just finding the one that fits you best. So that's the way to go about doing it. But I mean, it seems like you already have a great process in place. But on the service side, service is much more I find. Maybe it's just because I'm more on the supply side. But there's a lot of similarities between the two. The level of communication that you have and how you go about doing it. You already know the whole process, and the pieces that you don't, Mimi. If you are a member, I help all members with any questions they have. So if you're looking to learn a little bit more and the overlap between the two and whatnot, I mean, everyone that's in
Tristan, listen, I'm joining. I'm literally, because I know that I'm going to be starting really quite soon as I wind down the service side, and then just specifically have something just for supplies. So I'm going to join. I'm going to use GovScraper, because I think that what I've learned is my service side, it took a lot of time, because you got to make the phone calls. You got to make sure CEOs are happy, make sure that the end user is happy. So having something like GovScraper, it really cuts off time. And then it also allows you to, I was thinking to myself, what can I automate? Because I do work full time. How can I have someone else understand what it is that I'm looking for, to take that off the admin part and just focus on building the vendor relationship? Because really, that's your meat and potatoes. If they know that you're winning, that you can build upon that. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to try to at least try to. That's my track for now.
Absolutely. And the GovScraper tool works for everyone wherever they are. So I'm saying that is, sometimes I've had people that are members and then have hired people outside the US to kind of help them with the procurement aspect of it. So they're the ones logging into the system. Whereas if they're just trying to go into DIBBS because they're in Europe or wherever they are,
they can't get on, right?
They can't get on, right? So it's a great tool that if you're trying to outsource and delegate to people, you can do that as well too. But maybe if and when you do become, I ensure that I can guide you through the entire process. That comes part of the package.
All right, awesome. And keep cranking out those videos, Tristan. I literally, I try to make sure I stay abreast on what's going on and the things that you're putting out, because I really do look and see who's putting out really good information that I can hold on to, that I can go back to. And your packing videos are awesome, because nobody really talks about packing, mill standard, whatever, 2073. And then the other things that you kind of put along. So I've been watching for a while. So this is my first time to jump in on one of your sessions. So I'm sure we'll talk again. I'm at the ground level, but I'm building myself up to where I can be effective. Thank you so much, Tristan.